Well, our next speaker is Laura Walker Hudson. So Laura is the CEO of Frontline SMS. And she's going to tell you what that is. And all I would say is that Laura and I have had many conversations over the past couple of years about how to orchestrate this sort of conversation. She sees this disruption coming. She sees the need for change. And we've been trying for a long time. So I'm really glad that you're here, finally.
That's very kind. I'm after the handheld.
Oh, I think it's... Where did the handheld mic go? I think we've...
Okay, well, we'll kick off anyway. Can we press go on the magic button? Hello? Sorry? Hello. No, I'm quite cross with you, actually. I am. So Sean asked me here to talk about business models. He said, come and say something groovy about business models. I said, okay. So I'm about to tell you a little bit about our mission and our theory of change at SimLab. There it is, that's our mission. And as I've been doing this, I've actually gotten increasingly irate. So obviously I'm very polite about it because I'm British, but still it's there. So our mission is to lower barriers to social change through mobile technologies. And the most visible way we've done that over the last 8 years is with Frontline SMS. This is version 1 of Frontline SMS, created by my very good friend and our founder, Ken Banks, who sits over there. So Frontline SMS is free open source software that lets you send, receive, and manage SMS. You don't need the internet. It's used in over 135 countries. I did not make that figure up. That is true. It's the same figure as yours. 135 countries. It's been downloaded over 200,000 times, about half of which, or a bit more than that actually, in the last couple of years. And we have a particular theory of change, which is that you can do vertical scale, sure. You from the center can send SMS to 300,000 people at once, sure. But we believe that innovation happens in teams. We think people work together in their local communities to manage a clinic, to monitor an election, to make change happen, to respond to emergencies. We know that most emergencies are responded to by local responders, right? The international community doesn't show up. And yet somehow when I get asked to come and talk about technology and humanitarian aid, we spend all of our time talking about L3s and how international NGOs can use technology in their work. Well, actually, there's a lot more to it than that. And there is a lot of potential for people at the grassroots level to make use of technology and to make use of innovation generally. I don't want you to think this is just about tech. This is about any kind of innovation. It could be a business practice. But it has to be easy to pick up and use. So Frontline SMS, for example, people have been downloading it for years. They never speak to us again. You don't need training to use Gmail. So why should you need to be trained to use Frontline? It needs to use locally available technology that you can pick up in a shop around the corner. It uses a locally available phone and a modem. We've just added an Android app so that we can take advantage of the growing Android market in the developing world. Being versatile is more important than being perfect, I would say. So we don't have a WhatsApp version of Frontline. We don't have a humanitarian version of Frontline. We just have a really good piece of software that works. And it's good enough. People make it work for them in their own context. This is an ActionAid program. BJ, I think, was here earlier from ActionAid Kenya. It's an ActionAid Kenya program that won an award for its work with communicating with communities. But the bit that I get really excited about is that they really figured out how to turn it to their own advantage. And I'll come back to that. This is the biggest learning I've had. If your intervention, and that's not just me, my business model is something I will talk to you about for medical reasons only with a glass of wine in my hand, so perhaps later. But the business model of every intervention, every use of Frontline needs to be sustainable. And if it's not sustainable, when the funding ends, it will go away. And all of that work will be for nothing. If it pays for itself, or offsets the costs with time and cost savings and other efficiencies, or if the impact is so good that it's definitely worth investing in, then it will stay. So we need to think about the business model of everything we're encouraging people to do at the local level. And if it doesn't pay for itself or it's too expensive, it won't last. If it works within existing mechanisms and existing systems, if it's replacing an old, slow, analog system with a new, faster digital one, then that will work. So ActionAid were trained to use Frontline for communicating with communities, and they won an award for that work. But the bit I get excited about in the report is that the staff also figured out they could use it for M&E, and they halved their field trips. They used to do 24 a month. Afterwards, they did 12 at a time when Isiolo was becoming very insecure. And they did that, not the international consultants. They just looked at the tool and said, great, this works for this thing. So I guess my argument is this technology, these innovations, we have them, we use them ourselves all the time. they can really make a difference. They can transform the ability of local responders to do what they're doing already. They can do it better, faster, cheaper. These figures are just taken from a few case studies that I could think of off the top of my head, having just lived in Kenya for a couple of years. But you're talking about up to 98% reduction in the amount of work people are doing. So the reason I'm a bit cross, really, is why on earth are we not doing this already? If I can invite you to imagine a world where we could just give every local responder in the world the access to the technologies that, even just the ones that work, that we have access to, and let them use them to do their jobs. And that would increase their efficiency and reach and effectiveness by even 10%. How amazing would that be? Why would we not do that? That's all. Thank you.